Imagine walking into a forest where the outside world slowly disappears. The trees grow so densely that sunlight struggles to reach the ground. The volcanic earth twists beneath your feet. Sound seems strangely muted, and after only a few minutes, it becomes easy to believe you are completely alone. This is Aokigahara, a forest at the foot of Mount Fuji, one of Japan's most beautiful landscapes, and one of the most misunderstood places on Earth. For decades, people around the world have called it Japan's suicide forest. Many believe it is haunted, others believe it is cursed. But the real story is far stranger, because the forest itself never asked for this reputation. Humans created it. Welcome to the strange route. Behind every taboo, every myth, and every place that becomes larger than itself lies a deeper story. Today, we uncover the strange route of Aokigahara. Long before the headlines, long before the documentaries, and long before tourists arrived searching for something dark and mysterious, Aokigahara was simply a forest. The forest sits on land created by one of Mount Fuji's great eruptions more than 1,000 years ago. Beneath the soil lies hardened volcanic lava. Tree roots often spread across the surface instead of sinking deeply into the ground. The terrain is uneven. The vegetation is dense. Natural sound is absorbed by the thick forest. Many visitors describe an unusual stillness, not supernatural silence. The kind that makes you suddenly aware of every breath, every footstep, and every movement around you. It is beautiful, it is peaceful, and under the wrong circumstances, it can feel deeply unsettling. Long before Aokigahara became associated with modern tragedy, Japanese folklore already contained rich traditions surrounding death and spirits. Stories spoke of yurei, restless spirits unable to find peace. Unlike many Western ghost stories, these spirits were often tied to grief, regret, unfinished obligations, and emotional suffering. Certain places became known as liminal spaces, locations where the boundary between worlds felt uncertain. Mountains, forests, remote paths, places removed from ordinary life. Over generations, Aokigahara naturally became associated with these stories, not because anyone proved spirits existed there, but because humans have always used landscapes as canvases for their fears and beliefs. The forest's modern reputation did not emerge from ancient folklore alone. It emerged from media. In 1960, a popular novel by Saicho Matsumoto featured a character who chose the forest as the location of her death. The image stayed with readers. Then came newspaper coverage, documentaries, rumors, stories repeated again and again. Later, a controversial suicide manual explicitly mentioned Aokigahara. Its reputation grew even stronger. What began as fiction slowly became public perception, and public perception became reality. The more people talked about the forest, the more symbolic it became. This raises an uncomfortable question. Why did one forest become famous while thousands of other forests remained anonymous? Because humans do not respond only to places. We respond to symbols. Over time, Aokigahara stopped being merely a forest. It became an idea, a symbol of isolation, a symbol of despair, a symbol of disappearance. And symbols possess a power that physical locations often do not. Researchers have long studied something known as social contagion. When a particular location becomes strongly associated with tragedy, repeated publicity can unintentionally reinforce that association. Stories create attention. Attention creates symbolism. Symbolism attracts more attention. A feedback loop begins. The forest itself never changed. the stories surrounding it did. This is one reason why modern reporting guidelines often discourage sensational coverage. The goal is not to hide reality. The goal is to avoid turning suffering into mythology. Lost beneath the legends are real people, real families, real struggles, economic hardship, loneliness, isolation, mental illness. The causes are rarely simple, yet public fascination often focuses on the forest itself rather than the human suffering behind it. The result is a tragic distortion. People discuss the location, but often forget the lives. As the legend grew, so did commercial interest. Horror films used the forest. YouTube creators filmed inside it. Tourists arrived seeking mystery. Some came searching for ghosts. Others came searching for shock value. Yet every sensational video risked strengthening the very myth it claimed to explore. Aokigahara became an example of how modern media can transform private suffering into public spectacle. Aokigahara forces us to confront a difficult truth. Places do not create myths alone. People do. A forest becomes haunted because we tell stories about ghosts. A mountain becomes sacred because we tell stories about gods. A location becomes feared because we attach our anxieties to it. The trees of Aokigahara are not evil. The volcanic earth beneath them is not cursed. The silence is not supernatural. Yet together they became one of the most powerful symbols of despair in the modern world. Not because nature demanded it, but because humans gave it meaning. Sometimes the strangest roots are not buried beneath the ground. Sometimes they grow through the stories we repeat. And that is the strange root of Aokigahara. If you enjoyed this exploration into one of the world's most misunderstood places, subscribe to The Strange Route and join us as we uncover more hidden stories, forgotten traditions, and cultural mysteries from around the world. Until next time, take care.